and good evening to you wherever you're watching us from this night. It is the 19th of May 2023.
And tonight we've got a lot in store for you in matters happening in the country and beyond our borders. But first, the highlights.
Jeremiah Kioni and David Murathe expelled from Jubilee as push and pull in the party continues.
Release funds to the counties. Development is delaying. Council of Governors asked National Treasury and Controller of Budgets.
Senate probe committee on the Shakahola cult set foot in Kilifi County, aiming to get more information on the massacre and take further action.
And Kenyatta University and other organizations launch a mental awareness week as the world marks the global mental health awareness. Warm welcome to the broadcast. We're streaming live on YouTube at KUTV Kenya and on Facebook at KUTV Kenya. My name is Daphne ORINA.
We have Moses GITONGA on our sign language interpretation, and my name is MUTEGI K. Martin. Let's get started.
Chief Registrar of the Judiciary, Ann Amadi, has been accused of a fraudulent move to corner Dubai-based firm millions of money in a fake gold scandal.
Bratton Gold Trading LLC claims that the suspects illegally obtained over 89 million shillings for gold they never supplied. Amadi has been accused alongside her son Brian Ochieng Amadi and others awaiting the hearing of the suit.
The High Court in Nairobi, through Justice David Majanja, has ordered freezing of personal bank accounts registered in the names of the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary, Ann Amadi, Hassan Brian Ochieng Amadi, and two others, following a petition by Dubai-based gold company. Dubai's Bratton Gold Trading claims that the judiciary boss and other suspects, acting on behalf of the law firm Amadi and Associates Advocates, fraudulently obtained over 89 million for gold that they never supplied. The firm claims that it all started when their directors were introduced to Daniel Kangara Ndegwa, who is now one of the suspects in the case that is set to cast a harsh spotlight on the judiciary. Ndegwa claimed to be representing an entity called Universal Global Logistics Limited. In the alleged agreement, Ndegwa was to deliver gold which would then be exported to Dubai for sale, and millions of money was sent to the defendants' accounts. However, the company declares that no gold was ever exported from Kenya to Dubai. In suing the judiciary registrar, Bratton Gold Trading claimed that investigations by the Directorate of Criminal Investigations (DCI) revealed that she is the registered proprietor of Amadi and Associates Advocates. The Dubai firm also claims that Amadi later called and made proposals to clear the sum in 6 months, a proposal which was rejected as no security for performance in their part was forthcoming. The matter will be mentioned on Tuesday next week. Joseph Oyomo, Primetime News.
Let's focus on matters affecting our counties, and the Senate committee has today set foot in Kilifi County on the quest aimed at finding the truth about Pastor Mackenzie's alleged religious cult that has led to the death of over 230 people.
The committee, led by the Tana River Senator Dan
The Senate probe committee on
visited the Kilifi Governor Gideon Mungaro's office to pay a courtesy call and hear the governor's efforts towards the terror.
Mungatana has assured that they are prepared to visit and meet every individual and any member who was involved in the Shakahola tragedy or victims of the same.
In Shakahola,
tunajaribu vile tutakavyoweza kujua ukweli wa mambo haya. Hawa watu waliokufa hawakufa bure. Kuna kitu ambacho kimefanyika hapa Kilifi, Shakahola, na tunataka kujua ukweli wa mambo ni wapi.
Senator Mungatana stated that they were going to summon the cabinet secretary concerned with the communication and the Communication Authority of Kenya CAK to know why and how they can control the circulation of videos of the cult leader trending on the internet in order to take them down.
Sisi tumekubaliana ya kwamba kati ya wale watu ambao tutawaita mbele ya kamati hii ya Senate ni waziri anayehusika na mambo ya mawasiliano. Tumekubaliana pia ile inaitwa Communication Authority of Kenya pia nao watakuja, manake wao ndio wanahusika na mambo ya license za watu kutumia TV na mitandao. Sasa mipango yetu ni kuwauliza ni standards gani ambazo wanaweka kukubali watu kuendelesha mambo ambayo yanaumiza wengine. Tunataka kupata majibu ya hayo, na tutauliza baada ya haya yote kufanyika ni kwa nini bado hii mitandao bado iko na mahubiri ya huyu ambaye aliumiza watu. Hata katika mitandao unaona bado kunatembea katika ma WhatsApp groups, katika TikToks. Tunataka kujua kutoka kwao ni hatua gani watafanya ili kuua haya mafundisho.
Kilifi Governor Mungaru persuaded the public to give any information regarding Shakahola to the Senate committee without fear so that mechanisms can be employed to stop anything like the cult from happening in the future.
Unajua tunataka kuuliza raia pia wale wanaogopa kwenda kwa polisi. Senator ni wawakilishi wa wananchi. Kwa hivyo kamati yao ni rais nyinyi kutoa ujumbe ya yale mambo yote ambayo mnajua mbali ya police station, kwa sababu sasa huko unaweza ambao ulijuaje, unaenda kaanza kuogopa. Kwa kamati ya viongozi ni rais kutoa ujumbe, na nafikiri mimi nimeweza kuwasaidia na wale ambao nimeyasikia toka hii mambo ijulikane, na hao wataendesha kutoka hapo.
Among the issues the committee will seek to establish include the registration status of religious organizations and the mitigation measures taken and regulations, if any, to manage and control religious entities. Reporting for KUTV, I'm Jackie Nasiran.
In other news, the Council of Governors, led by its chairperson, Kakamega Governor Ferdinand Barasa and Kirinyaga Governor Anwar, stated session today asking the National Treasury and the Controller of Budgets to release the funds to all 47 counties.
Now, these county leaders say that the delay of these funds have been delaying county development activities.
In their meeting today, the Council of Governors issued a statement asking the National Treasury to release the budget and funds to the county, saying that their financial year 2021-2022 has already ended and yet counties have not received their share. They have, however, issued a 24-hour ultimatum to the Controller of Budget to facilitate the issue.
The financial year 2022-2023 is coming to a close in 1.5 months, yet the National Treasury has not disbursed 94.35 billion to counties to facilitate implementation of county budgets. We urge the National Treasury to expedite the release of all pending monies owed to the counties as agreed in the framework.
They say that the Ministry of Health has failed to honor the agreement and arrangement that they had already settled on issues relating to county health matters. In their statement, they have warned the Ministry of Health on interfering with the activities of county's health sector.
The Council of Governors calls upon the Ministry of Health to desist from clawing back the health function and stop invading the roles of county governments.
They have, however, called upon development partners to stop funding national government projects that would interfere with the county operations, especially on health and agriculture sectors.
We urge development partners to also cease from colluding, supporting and funding the national government ministries and interventions on functions that are devolved.
Governors are now threatening to shun county operations if county funds are not released as soon as possible. James Murekemwenda, KUTV.
Now to party politics. The push and pull in the Jubilee Party continues to be witnessed following the leadership wrangles of the party. The Yala Member of Parliament Kanini Kega, who claims to be the acting General Secretary of the party, has expelled Jeremiah Kioni and David Morathe from the Jubilee Party.
Nikega-led faction argues that the National Executive Committee had approved their action.
The East Africa Legislative Member of Parliament Kanini Kega, who claims to be the acting Jubilee Party Secretary General, has expelled the membership of Jeremiah Kioni and David Morathe, citing the approval of the National Executive Committee on the action placed upon them. Addressing a press briefing, the Kanini Kega-led faction saying that the step to remove the two has been achieved after the National Executive Committee accepted to pass the report of the Disciplinary Committee to exclude the two and suspend them from the party.
I want to inform you and inform the country that the same Kioni team subjected themselves before the committee that now they are purporting is not there in office. They sent their lawyers before that committee, so they were properly represented in that committee.
Malalamisho yaliletwa yakasemekana kwamba Uhuru hakuwa na uwezo wa kuitisha mkutano kwa sababu yeye alikoma kuwa kinara wa chama tarehe 14 baada ya miezi 6 Machi mwaka huu.
Additionally, Kega saying that a special national meeting of Jubilee Party members that was organized by Kioni to be held next week will not be attended. He has seen that his faction will call a special sitting of the National Delegate Conference that will be communicated in due time.
We go ahead to convene a meeting on Monday. It will just be assumed that it's just another political rally, which anybody is free, but it is not binding. And it is not legally binding.
Morathe na Kioni wameondolewa kwa chama. Kumaanisha kuanzia leo kwenda mbele sio wanachama tena wa Jubilee.
So it's very, very clear. We have only one Jubilee. There is no NDC on Monday, and this is a team that has been following the law. And we are just awaiting what the Registrar of Political Parties is going to forward by next week.
Yesterday, Kioni and Morathe appeared that the National Delegate Conference will take place despite being denied a platform to convene for the meeting at the Bomas of Kenya. James Mureke Mwenda, KUTV.
Well, now in other news, President William Ruto has today reiterated his confidence in fighting corruption and embezzlement of public resources among leaders and top officials. Speaking in Kandara, Murang'a County, the president issued a stern warning to everyone craving to misuse public resources, underlining that Kenyans must get value for every coin given to the government.
President William Ruto has continued to warn corrupt individuals in his administration, insisting that embezzlement of funds will not be condoned. Speaking during the funeral service of the late David Waweru Ng'ethe in Kandara, Murang'a County, the head of state said that if anyone is found guilty of corruption, they will face the law.
I will take personal responsibility on the accountability of resources of the people of Kenya. Ile pesa yenu, ushuru ya wananchi wa Kenya, pesa wananchi wa Kenya wametoa kwa jasho yao. Hakuna mtu ataiba. Hawawezi. Na mtu akijaribu atakutana na mimi. Kwa sababu sina kazi nyingine. Ile kazi nilipatiwa na ile fimbo nilipatiwa pale ni kunyorosha watu ambao wanataka kuwepa na pesa ya wananchi.
Ruto assured Kenyans that nobody will steal even a penny from them, promising that Kenyans will receive value for every shilling collected as tax. The head of state underlined that no friendship will extend beyond embezzlement of public resources.
And therefore, nimeshawaambia kila mtu, marafiki zangu nimewaambia, wale sio marafiki zangu nimewaambia, ya kwamba tuendelee na urafiki, tuendelee na mambo ingine, lakini pesa ya wananchi hapana. Hiyo ni pesa ya wananchi wa taifa letu la Kenya na tutachunga kuhakikisha ya kwamba the people of Kenya get value for every shilling that they give to the government of Kenya.
National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah, in his turn, assured the President of Parliament support in the fight against corruption in the government. He lauded Ruto for his bold step to crack the whip on individuals suspected to be behind the KEMSA scandal.
There is an element of people being skeptical that if we put money in a fund, that money will not go into good use because of corruption. And I want to thank you, Your Excellency, because you have shown in action, not by words, that you mean business in protecting the property and the resources raised nationally in our country, Your Excellency. And I want to congratulate you and ask you not to be derailed by anything. I've heard others say that on KEMSA no resources have been lost. But it begins with weak corporate governance, Your Excellency, and fixing the corporate governance in our public institutions is as good as fixing those who loot from public coffers. And I want to encourage you, Your Excellency, continue ensuring that you are the forefront of protecting public resources so that all the resources we raise, be it in NSSF, in NHIF, in the housing fund, and all other national resources are put into good use to deliver the services and goods that we did promise our people when we went around this country campaigning.
The president recently sacked LPS Josephine Mburu and the whole of the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority Board, including its chair Daniel Rono, following allegations of scandal regarding the supply of mosquito nets. Joseph Oyomo, Primetime News.
The Cabinet Secretary for Interior, Professor Kithure Kindiki, has today held a joint meeting of the Rift Valley Regional Security and Intelligence Committee and the Samburu County Security at Longewan, Samburu County, as the operation to flush out bandits continues.
During the meeting, Kindiki appreciated Samburu residents who have surrendered 96 guns and hundreds of...
Kindiki has today held a joint meeting of the Rift Valley Regional Security and Intelligence Committee and the Samburu County Security and Intelligence Committee at Longewan, Samburu County. The meeting was convened to review and assess success and challenges of the ongoing Maliza Uhalifu joint KDF operation in bandit-prone counties. During the meeting, Kindiki announced that 96 guns and hundreds of ammunition have been surrendered by the residents of Samburu in the last few weeks as the government continues to intensify the anti-banditry operation in 6 counties.
Samburu County ndio iko number 1 kwa ile bunduki imerejeshwa. Katika Samburu County, kati ya bunduki 148 ambazo zimerudishwa, 96 zimerudishwa Harvard within the operation area in the 6 counties since the operation began. But out of the 148, 96 guns have been returned here in Samburu. And for that reason, we must make sure that the people of Samburu and the people of other places across the country continue to be safe.
The CS said that the intelligence-led security operation will continue until all criminals are flushed out of their hideouts, adding that all guns that are illegally in the hands of civilians must be recovered.
Tutaboresha maslahi ya polisi wetu na maafisa wa usalama wote wakiwemo police reservists. Na nimetangaza mambo ya NPRs nikiwa Baringo jana, sitaki kurudia, lakini tutashughulikia insurance cover. Tuhakikishe mmepata cover ya NHIF. Vile vile NPR wakipata medical cover ya NHIF, vile vile tutahakikisha mmepata sare maalum ama uniform ambayo itakuwa pamoja na viatu ili muweze kufanya kazi mkiwa na njia ya heshima.
There has been a rise in insecurity in some parts of Samburu, where some 2,000 families were displaced last month. The displaced families moved to camps, hoping for better security as fight against bandits is continuing. Patrick Oduor, KUTV.
As the world marks the Global Mental Health Awareness Month in May, Kenyatta University Department of Psychology, in partnership with various organizations, has organized a Mental Awareness Week in efforts to enhance awareness on matters mental health.
Now, the launch of the program was officiated by the Kenyatta University Vice Chancellor, Professor Paul Wainaina, today.
The primary focus for the mental health workshop organized in Kilifi County today was to deliberate on the county's progress in fulfilling the
In honor of the Mental Health Awareness Month, Kenyatta University, through various collaborating departments, has planned a range of activities to raise awareness on matters mental health by facilitating an awareness week set to benefit the local community and the university fraternity. The commencement of the Awareness Week was officiated by the university's Vice-Chancellor, Professor Paul K. Wainaina, earlier today, as participants took part in the awareness walk organized within the university. Speaking after the walk, the Deputy Vice-Chancellor Academics, Professor Washeke Wanjohi, who was speaking on behalf of the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Paul Wainaina, said that there was a need for individuals to seek self-care or support loved ones in seeking professional help without stigmatization.
A publication by the United Nations Office on Drug Use and Crime indicates that adults with mental disorders are more likely than those without mental health to have substance use disorder and vice versa. It is against this backdrop that we suggest that the Kenyatta University theme becomes mental illness and substance use disorder, the Siamese twins.
Susan Maua, who was speaking on behalf of the NACADA acting CEO John MUTEGI, noted that mental illness and substance abuse are indeed inseparable, as substance abuse can trigger mental illness and mental illnesses can also trigger substance abuse. By organizing the activities, Kenyatta University and its partners aim to encourage open dialogue, provide education and support, and ultimately create a society where individuals facing mental health and substance use disorders can seek help without stigmatization. Yvonne Kemuma, KUTV.
Alcohol use gives you have a 2
All right, it's time for us to take a very fast break here on KUTV Primetime News tonight. When we come back, my co-host has something very special for you, right?
Yes, we do have a very interesting discussion relating to mental awareness and drug abuse. Stay tuned, we shall be back.
Are you an aspiring media practitioner, a graduate, or you just want to advance your skills in television production? Then welcome to Kenyatta University, where education meets innovation. KUTV, the premier university television station in Kenya, is now offering short courses in TV studio, field technical operations, and video editing. Through these courses, you will acquire hands-on skills on camera operations, media production, lighting techniques, audiovisual editing, and sound and visual control, and how to operate key equipment in modern TV control room. Enroll today at KUTV and discover your full potential in cutting-edge TV broadcasting. Graduates of these courses will receive professional certificates. For more information, visit our offices at KUTV Studios or call us on 020-870-4252 or 020-870-4255 or SMS us on 0739-110-544. KUTV, a new experience.
Focus on Health is a show that creates awareness on matters health and informs you on various diseases, their causes, treatment, prevention, coping, and support. So join me, Bwari Michelle, every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. only on KUTV. You can also follow us on our social media platforms at KUTV Focus on Health on Facebook and also on YouTube, and Health Focus on Instagram, because your health is your wealth. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Access to knowledge, solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law Matters.
Savannah Honey tunajihusisha na the entire beekeeping value chain. Beevenom ndio the most valuable product kwa beekeeping.
Kila frame moja inakupa asali kilo moja hadi kilo moja na nusu. Piga hesabu yako, utakuwa unavuna kiasi gani baada ya miezi mitatu.
On this week's episode of Fashion Diaries.
So when we are giving you that, we also complement it up with any other thing that should and can complement that suit in accordance with the spectrums of the suit in question.
To the Church O'Clock Show. I'm your host, Esther Becky.
And my name is DJ Tero.
We start you off with a word of prayer and get you started with a live transformational worship experience. And have our minds renewed by the word of God on the word segment.
And not forgetting new music za hii wiki, yani ndakuwa bado nawapatia pale wasanii wamekuwa kiwakali. So make sure manzo tune in because zitakuwa zina flow pia pale mixes kwa wingi, yani zitakuwa zina come through, and pia performance yani from our gospel artist hapa on Gospel Arts
from 7 to
10 a.m. only on KUTV.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Kilifi County has today unveiled elaborate mechanisms to tackle mental health problems in the coastal region. The amendment was conducted in a few workshops held by Basic Needs, Basic Rights Kenya, the Kenya Parliamentary Caucus, and SDGs and Business and SOCAT together with Kilifi MCS to deliberate on the county's progress status on mental bill.
The primary focus for the mental health workshop organized in Kilifi County today was to deliberate on the county's progress in fulfilling the recommendations provided by the Mental Health Task Force regarding leadership and governance, in which several crucial topics were covered during the seminar, including the background of mental health in Kenya, the Mental Health Amendment Bill of 2022, the multisectoral approach to mental health in Kilifi, and the potential for mental health partnerships at the county assembly.
Tumeahidi ya kwamba tutaweza kushirikiana ili kwa tuhakikishe tunaweza kusonga mbele katika hii hali, kuhakikisha kwamba wananchi wetu wa Kilifi County wanaweza kupata matibabu ambayo yanaweza kuwasaidia na hili donda sugu ambalo la mental health. Tumegundua kwamba kuna gaps kubwa sana na ili kwamba kuweza kuimplement zile agenda za Musai governor wetu Governor Mngaro, ikiwa pillar number 1 ni ya mambo ya afya.
The county's ambitious plan aims to establish a robust mental health system that provides comprehensive support and care to those in need. By implementing the Mental Health Amendment Bill of 2022 and adopting a multisectoral approach, Kilifi County seeks to address the root cause of mental health issues and promote overall well-being.
Vijana wengi wameathirika na magonjwa haya kwa sababu ya matumizi ya mihadarati kama vile mokoka, bangi na maheroin. Na mihadarati mingi zimekuja sahi, matembe ndogo ndogo vijana wamekuwa wanatumia, wamekuwa wanatenda vitendo vya kinyama ambao kwamba tuna imani kwamba wanahitaji matibabu ya kiakili. Kwa hivyo sisi kama serikali ya gatuzi la Kilifi, we are committed kuanzisha programs pia za awareness kwa mashule na mitaani.
The workshop served as a platform for valuable discussions, knowledge sharing, and networking opportunities for all participants, including the Kilifi MCAs. With these elaborate mechanisms in place, the Kilifi County is determined to improve mental health outcomes and provide necessary support to its residents. The effort made by the county and the collaborative initiatives taken during the workshop bring hope for a better future in mental health care. Patrick Oduor, KUTV.
Now, mental health continues to be a topic of concern, even as we continue to commemorate the May Measurement Month for mental health globally. Millions of people experience symptoms of a mental health condition each year, and the number of people seeking care is trending upward. While a mental health diagnosis may impact an individual's daily life, it can also have a ripple effect across families, communities, and even economies. Today, we delve into a discussion to find out the correlation between mental illness and substance abuse with the help of Dr. Beatrice Kadhungu, who's in studio with us. Thank you for joining us, Beatrice. Kindly introduce yourself to our viewers, rather. Tell them who you are and what is it that you do.
Thank you very much. My name is Dr. Beatrice Kadhungu. I am a lecturer in the Department of Psychology of Kenyatta University. I am also the director in charge of the Directorate of Accommodation Services. I am a counseling psychology by profession. In addition to that, I am a specialist in addiction studies. I chair the African Regional Chapter of the International Consortium of Universities on Drug Demand Reduction, or ICUDDR. That is a little about myself. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. You've spoken about you being a director in, or rather a partner in the Consortium of Drug and Substance Abuse, you've said. So, and that happens to be what we are talking about today, drug and substance abuse, and how it relates to mental health. Let's first define this mental health. When do we say that a person is mentally healthy and is mentally unhealthy?
Thank you very much. And I want to begin by saying that just like we say health is not just about the absence of disease. We also say that mental health is more than just the absence of disease. It's about wellness, it's about the quality of life, it's about ability to participate in day-to-day activities as well as contribute significantly to society. So that is really what health is all about. And therefore, when we talk about mental health, we are saying that someone may not be physically having any challenge, but because of challenges that are affecting their mental health, they are not able to live fully. They are not able to significantly contribute to a community. They are not able to live to optimize their potential. Ordinary life issues push them to the edge and sometimes push them out of ability to manage day-to-day occurrences, and therefore we need to step in and do something about it. So that's in really a snapshot what I would say about mental health.
Now, mental disorders can contribute to substance and drug abuse and disorders arising from that. You've called it the Siamese twins for this year. How would you describe the correlation to someone who is hearing about it for the first time?
Thank you for that question. Indeed, they say in English, sometimes we use analogies or figurative language to pass a message in a way that people understand. So people do understand the concept of Siamese twins, twins that are conjoined and sometimes have to be separated through surgery. And so the idea is to bring alive to every Kenyan that mental illness and substance use disorders actually coexist. They are almost conjoined. They are related. And I'll explain just a little to give insights about this. For example, a person may be predisposed to having a mental illness. And when I talk about predisposition, I want to take it to the medical world for us to understand better. Sometimes we say people are predisposed to diabetes, predisposed to hypertension, predisposed to asthma. So we're saying people may be predisposed to mental illness, but just like we know with diabetes and blood pressure and asthma, a predisposition is not equivalent to getting the disease. It just means you're more vulnerable. That if you and me expose ourselves to environmental factors that could trigger, yourself who's not predisposed may never get it, but I who's predisposed will get it. And therefore, because of that predisposition aspect, people who are predisposed to mental health may actually use substances, and as a result of using substances through maybe experimentation, through peer pressure, they end up now pushing upwards a disease that would not have come out, would have remained a predisposition, would have just remained subtle. So it pushes it up to make it a reality. And we have seen, the research tells us, there's a big relationship between, for example, use of cannabis and the development of mental illnesses like schizophrenia, which are just examples, and I don't want to get technical. And so that is the one side of it. But on the other side, it has also been found that when people have a predisposition to a mental health or a mental health symptom is beginning to develop, it can have symptoms such as mood disorders, anxiety disorders. And so people who are having these symptoms seek for a way to self-medicate. So if you have a mood disorder and you take a substance of abuse, it actually lifts your mood. And then that makes you realize, oh, I feel better when I take this substance. And in the process now, they get hooked onto that substance, not because they like it, but because it is self-medicating. And so we say it is like the chicken and egg story. We don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg. So the egg could lead to the chicken could lead to the egg. So that's the relationship between substance use disorders and mental health disorders. And that's what drove our theme for this year's mental health celebrations, not just in Kenyatta University, but in African universities under ICUDDR, to help us think and understand that if we really want to make a breakthrough in interventions, we cannot address either of them alone. We got to put them together and address them simultaneously. Thank you.
You've mentioned the story about we don't know which came first between the egg and the chicken, which brings me to this question. Some organizations say drug addiction is mental illness. Some say drug addiction may increase the symptoms of mental illness. Which is which?
Thank you for that. Actually, it's both plus more. Both plus more, because sometimes when people have a mental illness, and I'll give you some examples. There are people who have a mental illness that has got manifestations such as anxiety. So if the anxiety is high, and by the way, the Global Mental Health Month theme is, it is not just anxiety. That is to tell you, they recognize that a lot of mental illness come with anxiety. Sometimes anxiety as a symptom of the disease itself, in what we call anxiety disorders, but sometimes the anxiety that is associated with any form of mental illness. And so sometimes because of that anxiety, people will begin to use substances to calm themselves down, and that can worsen the problem of the disease and worsen the problem of the substance use. And so finally, you end up complicating the matter. Sometimes you find people are put on treatment for mental illnesses, but then they are unable to stop taking substances. And so use of substances causes them not to adhere to the drug treatment. And so that worsens the outcome of the treatment. So that's why I'm saying they are correlated and much, much more. And we shall be having this conversation more in our show on Monday at 8 a.m. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that response. Now, what are these risk factors that, predispose someone to mental illness?
So we say that there are many. Some of them are genetic, biological, sometimes chemical imbalances in the brain, sometimes they are environmental. And we really say that you can have a predisposition, but a predisposition is not equivalent to having the condition. We need what we call precipitating factors. Precipitating factors are the ones that will trigger something you are predisposed to start appearing. We also have what we call perpetuating factors. Perpetuating factors is what will now, once the problem has started, it could stop, but it aggravates. So that which causes it to aggravate is what we call perpetuating factors. But we also have what we call protective factors. Protective factors is anything that stops the problem from worsening. And therefore, when you ask what are some of the factors, some are actually environmental, some are life occurrences. And I want to give you a good example. When COVID struck us, we know the impact of COVID. That was a big factor that made people with predispositions to mental health actually get mental illness, actually get mentally sick because of the precipitator. The precipitator here was the COVID-19 and its impact. Sometimes things like loss and grief could actually cause a precipitation of a mental illness to someone with a predisposition. And that's why we need to be alive to this. But at the same time, we have got protective factors such as social support, such as early screening and early diagnosis and early intervention. All these are factors that we need to think about when we want to address this joint problem of mental illnesses and substance use disorders. You also said something, yes. In what we call the diagnostic and statistical manual that we use to classify diseases, mental illnesses, substance use disorders are actually classified as such. But we do not want to dwell on that for now. But the key thing we want to make people understand is that there's a big relationship between these two disorders, and we cannot work on one while ignoring the other. That's the reality. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Now, a report by NACADA last week revealed that drug and substance abuse is the primary risk factor for depressive disorders among users in Kenya. What can be done to help our youth who are in the pits of substance use condition?
That's a very good question. And I want to also say that research has shown that both mental illnesses and substance use disorders tend to occur towards late adolescence and early adulthood. And that is the age when we have our youth, especially those in universities. That then means that we need to have very specific mechanisms of addressing what we call prevention. We want to prevent as many people as possible from getting into substances or even from getting mentally unwell. And therefore, we say one of the biggest interventions that we can make, evidence-based, is coming up with prevention programs so that we reduce the numbers or the risks of young people getting into using substances, because by so doing, then we reduce their risk of getting into mental illnesses. So really that is one of the things we can do. And part of what we can do to do that is through mechanisms of what we call screening. You know, we can do screening of general populations the same way we get screened for HIV, we get screened for hypertension. So we want to see more screening around mental health, more screening around substance abuse, so that we can detect early, intervene early, and therefore improve the outcomes.
For a long time now, there's been this debate of which gender is most affected by mental illness. Is it the female or is it the male? Who, according to you, is the most affected and why?
Well, I think a lot of what we tend to see in the areas we are in, we see a lot of the male population. But at the same time, let us remember there's a lot of stigma associated with mental illness and substance use disorders. And therefore, when you're a woman and you're affected by either, we say being a woman in itself is a factor that makes you vulnerable, is a factor that, in a way, disenfranchises you. So even speaking about it, in fact, today, when we had the walk, one of the workers came and told me that she's actually a woman in recovery from alcoholism. And I was telling her we need to have more conversations, because when it is women that are affected by substance use, then even accessing help is a bigger problem. And so some of them may not even come out. So even in terms of reporting, it could be that we have significant numbers of women that are affected but are not even coming out to report about it because of the dual stigma.
Mm-hmm. You've mentioned that she came out to you in matters regarding being a recovering alcoholic. Now, alcohol is one of the most, a report recently released by NACADA also showed that alcohol is one of the most abused drugs in schools. What exactly are we not doing right that we should be doing to curb these alcoholism in schools, especially?
Well, I think it's a complex issue. One, because alcohol is a legal drug, unlike cannabis and others. Now, a legal drug means that you're free to take it, provided you take it within the law. So, for example, the law tells us you can use alcohol if you're 18 years and above. So, provided you're doing that, you're within the law. But here is the catch. We have a lot of social issues around alcohol. Alcohol in our culture is not only a part and parcel of our lives, particularly in our traditional cultures. Let me think about Kenya. In some of the communities in Kenya, when a child is born, people celebrate with alcohol. When there is a graduation, people celebrate with alcohol. When there is a wedding, at the end of it, there is alcohol. So almost every social, event, the culmination is use of alcohol. That means that culturally and socially, we are almost glorifying alcohol. That then means children have grown seeing that happening in their families. How then do you tell them that alcohol is bad? They watch you and they see that when you take alcohol, the mood in the room changes. People get excited and happy. How then do you tell them that alcohol isn't good? So we are saying, and evidence and research is telling us, if we have to succeed in fighting the challenge of alcoholism in our country and in our societies, we must think about family-based programs. Look at media. How much of alcohol marketing do you do? Show us these nice-looking people, and then you show us a bottle of alcohol. You bring this nice program, and it is sponsored by an alcohol producer, so at the bottom there, we see alcohol. So again, we have to do media-based prevention. We then have to do what we call school-based prevention, and we also have to do community-based prevention. So in short, what I'm saying is, if we want to make a breakthrough, every one of us has to come on board, and that's why in today's event, we brought everyone on board, and we wanted to say the issue of substance use and the issue of mental illness is not a prerogative for the professionals in the field. It is a problem of everyone, and everyone has something they can do, from policy makers to community agents to institutions. If all of us play our part, then we can see a difference. Thank you.
Well, now, you're observing the Mental Health Month in Kenyatta University. Do you do this every year? And if this is the first, what are you looking forward to at the end of your sensitization program?
Thank you very much for that question. I must begin by saying Kenyatta University is one of those institutions that has heavily invested in student welfare support. We have got directorates that are charged with the responsibility of promoting students' wellness, including the directorate of Wellness and Rehabilitation, the Directorate of University Health Services, Directorate of Accommodation, Catering, Gender and Equity, amongst others. And the idea is we want to create an environment that supports our students to be able to successfully navigate university life and be able to graduate on time. Unfortunately, we are facing the threat that we see in society. Remember, our university is a representative of society. There are lots of factors out there, environmental, that pose a risk to increased substance use, increased mental health challenges. And therefore, it was the first time that we are celebrating that in Kenyatta University, and we launched it because we said we do not want this to be the actions being done to be of selected departments and selected directorates. We want to pull together every stakeholder in Kenyatta University and outside Kenyatta University to begin speaking the language of prevention, to begin speaking the language of promotive health, to begin speaking the language of treatment support and recovery support. And so we intend to make this hopefully an annual event, but much more than that, we are intending not to stop on this month's activities. We are already taking some of the activities to be, continuous activities. And I want to give you one good example. We are actually strengthening what we call support groups so that people who are already affected and they are in treatment can be in support groups that can support their recovery. But we are also wanting to take it further. We want to advocate for promotive mental health. That's to say, we want to begin to address some of the risk factors. We want to be able to ask ourselves, if people have faced loss and grief, if people have faced traumatic experiences, how can we put in interventions, working with Directorate of Wellness Services and Health Services, and all the players in the university, Department of Psychology, Department of Psychiatry, how can we work together so that we put up mechanisms to do what we call early intervention? Because if you do early intervention, even if there's a risk factor or a precipitating factor, you can actually stop the perpetuation of the condition. So we want to build in more protective factors, want to bring on board everyone that is concerned. We would like to see lecturers in the lecture halls being able to see that there's something about this student. They don't come to class often. They miss on examinations. They are missing on lectures. What could be the problem? And we want to see someone taking the initiative to connect that student with a support system. We want to build what we call a recovery support system, where every student has an opportunity to thrive mentally rather than survive. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Beatrice, for coming through. That was our time regarding that was allocated to us to do the discussion on mental illness and mental health as a whole. We shall continue to be following up with the awareness week that you are having at the Directorate of Psychology and the sorts. Thank you very much for coming through. We shall be calling you here for such discussions. And do have yourself a good night, and thank you for coming through. We'll be back with more after this break.
Tuesday tunakula usiku. Tuachane na break kwanza, tuende lunch. Chapo. Ndio hiyo. Kama mokimo.
Rasha piga shada kuna giza. Siki nice tujinise weke story. Kata maji pia shada ligona nasio nikosa msupo si stress. Kama rende kisha basi nipe. Najua ni
big up, brother, ukiwa adliva big up, sis, big up, shows, mama, big up, oya, wase wote, okay, my principal, big up.
sana to the church, Aklaksha. I'm your host, Esther Becky.
And my name is DJ Tero.
We start you off with a word of prayer and get you started with a live transformational worship experience. And have our minds renewed by the word of God on the word segment.
And not forgetting new music za hii wiki, yani ndakuwa bado nawapatia pale wasanii wamekuwa kiwakali. So make sure manzo tune in because zitakuwa zina flow pia pale mixes kwa wingi, yani zitakuwa zina come through, and pia performance yani from our gospel artist hapa on Gospel Art
from 7 to
10 a.m. only on KUTV.
Technology, science, innovation, ICT and research. These are the ingredients upon which the solutions to the 21st century problems are founded. In a world that is rapidly changing, it's all hands on deck to ensure a balance in all fields of life. Women, young and old, are also in the front line, breaking the glass ceiling, becoming thought leaders in the larger tech space. Not forgetting other societies marginalized. And when the tech Avengers come together, we inch closer to a much safer, efficient, and sustainable world. What we view as a norm in today's advanced world was just an idea, and for nostalgic reasons, we trace back to the iconic days to bring you the retro tech. On Technovation Show, we encapsulate all the pillars of the fourth industrial revolution, decoded in a language, all for one for all. Every Monday at 8:30 as we push the mantra, keep learning something new each and every day. Only on KUTV, a new experience.
Welcome back. You're still watching KUTV Primetime News, and if you're watching this, you're watching Sports News.
The Cabinet Secretary for Sports, Ababu Namwamba, has revealed Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania will each contribute $30 million, that is 4.1 billion shillings, towards the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations.
Namwamba said the three countries have met twice and held meetings with Pindi Chama from Tanzania and Peter Ongweno from Uganda to draw a plan that could help them clinch the right to host the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations.
Later in the year, a group from the Confederation of African Football, CAF, is expected in Kenya to assess the country's readiness for Africa's football showpiece.
According to Ababu, the government is making effort to regain CAF's confidence after Kenya failed to follow through when it acquired the rights to host the 2018 Chan Cup. And now in Europa League, Sevilla booked their ticket to the UEFA Europa League finals after